And we'll go to the consent agenda. Larry?
Thank you, Mayor. For the purpose of approving full settlement of all paid for the tax year 2018. Item 2 is for the purpose of awarding the asphalt patching truck contract to Public Works Supply, Inc. in the amount of $145 through the NC or North Carolina Sheriff's Association's Cooperative Program. Item 3 is for the purpose of approving the first is for the acceptance, four sets of budget amendments. For acceptance of a donation in the amount of $100 from for fire education programs. The second, acceptance of a donation in the amount of $500, Mayor Pro Tem Gary Anderson's City Discretionary Fund for the use by Monroe Police Explorer Program. The third is for the acceptance of a donation in the amount of $150 from ADTS for the use of the Police Department's traffic cones. The fourth is for the purpose of approving appropriations of unspent items from fiscal year 2018 that are necessary to the fiscal year 2019 budget. There are 8 items ranging from roughly $580 to $374,000, the greater of which pertains to Department of Justice seizure funds. The total amount is approximately $626,000. Item 4 is for the purpose of calling 5 public hearings to receive public comment. The first 2 involve historic landmark designations. The next 2 involve requests for zoning map and text amendments, and the 5th is for land acquisition.
Excuse me, I would like to pull C, please.
This is just a call for a public hearing.
I have questions about it. Okay.
But if it's noted that the call for public hearing, I believe, for zoning text amendment and request for property located off John Moore Road and Hickory Grove Drive from residential low density to conditional district dogwood forest has been requested to be placed on the regular agenda. The first hearing.
Actually, Manager and Mayor, you could have, instead of putting it on the regular agenda, just have all the other items approved and then the questions about the consent agenda item. That way you don't have to necessarily move it. It stays on the consent agenda. It just allows questions.
That was number 4.
That was
C.
number 5C.
Number 5C.
4C, my apologies. I got it.
The first hearing for A was for historic landmark designation concerning property located at 514 Mill Street. Second historic landmark designation hearing concerned property located at 402 South Washington Street. The third was noted by Councilmember Saluda Anthony. The fourth concerns property located at the corner of Rocky River Road and Weddington Highway for residential, low density, and conditional district shops at Rocky River to conditional district village at Rocky River East land acquisition for 3 tracts of property containing multifamily apartment dwellings or buildings in Concord Avenue area. And the fifth concerns land acquisition for 3 tracts of property containing multifamily apartment buildings in the Concord Avenue area. Item 5 is for the purpose of approving 2 capital project budget ordinances. The first is to close and or transfer projects for fiscal year 2019. There are 9 items ranging from $3,000 to $150,000. And the second project budget is to allocate $55,000 to the Monroe Science Center capital project account for costs associated with the Science Center fundraising campaign. Item 6 is for the purpose of approving the resolution authorizing the campus safety officer agreement with South Piedmont Community College, an additional police officer position, and to approve the budget amendment. SPCC will reimburse the city 90% of the SRO's cost. Item 7 is for the purpose of approving and accepting Electric City's grant totaling $10,000 and adopt a capital project budget ordinance. Funds are to be used for the city's current wayfinding map system in the downtown's central business district. Item 8 is for the purpose of approving the revised fiscal year ending 19 financial plan for internal service funds. Item 9 is for the purpose of approving a $19,000 grant from the Historic Preservation Fund for the use with updating the Historic District Design Guideline document. Item 10 is for the purpose of rescinding the resolution which authorized a lease of city property to MD Aviation in order for it to construct an 11,000 square foot hangar, and to authorize termination of the lease maintenance agreement with MD Aviation that was dated December 1st, 2009 for their existing hangar facility. Item 11 involves minutes and reports. 11A involves the disbursement from City Council discretionary funds, and there were two sets of disbursements for this period. First of which involved Mayor Pro Tem Gary Anderson, dispersed to the Monroe Athletic Foundation $250. The second was Councilmember Sluta Anthony, dispersed to the Monroe High School Athletic Foundation a sum of $300. Item 11B concerns financial reports for July 2018, and as a summary, total fund balance is approximately $27 million. A few of the subsets of total fund balance include fund balance reserved by policy, which currently is approximately $9.4 million. The unassigned general fund balance is approximately $4.1 million, and the total assigned fund balance is $1.8 million. There are 8 sets of minutes lettered 11C through H. 11I is summary of contracts awarded, change orders approved, and the city manager's settlement of claims. There were 85 contracts for this period totaling approximately $852,000, and a claim was settled on July 27th in the amount of $8,500 with Clinton Woods for property damage. Item 12 is for the purpose of approving grant application to Omnova grant, in the amount of $1,750 for use with purchasing a fire investigator technician kit, smoke detectors, and other public education-related items. Item 13 is for the purpose of amending Chapter 55, titled Solid Waste, to remove the reference to the Director of Planning and Development and replace it with the Engineering Director. Item 14 is for the purpose of amending the solid waste recycling collection and disposal contract regarding Section 4, which would allow recyclable materials to be diverted to the Union County landfill at a cost of $42 a ton during the following events. In the event the materials recovery facility, otherwise known as the MRF, is unavailable within the traditional service area or is not fully operational, or upon investigation that there is a recycling load that is considered contaminated, and to state the City of Monroe will pay tipping fees not to exceed $42 per ton for recyclable materials. Item 15 is for the purpose of approving the payment of lightning damage claims totaling $47,110.54 that affected multiple city departments. Staff will pursue reimbursement from the city's insurance carrier for the eligible amount of $11,559, the amount in excess of the deduction. Item 16 is for the purpose of approving the resolution expressing appreciation to Mr. McManus for his service to the City of Monroe over the past 32 years and extending his best wishes on his retirement. Item 17 is for the purpose of approving the distribution of funds for connections fees in the amount of $5,184 as requested by the Monroe Union County Community Development Corporation for use at 506 East Village Drive. Item 18 is for the purpose of approving a sewer connection fee waiver of $3,720 for Ms. Betty Leak at 500 Sunnybrook Drive through the Water and Sewer Connection Fee Assistance Program. And Mayor and members of City Council, this concludes my synopsis of items placed on your consent agenda.
Larry, explain to me again what 13 is. Amendment.
The purpose of amending the title Solid Waste to remove the reference to the Director of Planning and replace with the Engineering Director. The Lori Broom, or Lori, who is the Solid Waste Coordinator, has been reassigned to the Engineering Division.
What will be moving?
Just the office. The functions change as the office.
Is she gonna still be in charge of that?
Yes.
Oh, it's moving the office.
I mean, what functions fall into that? Who does it now?
Well, it's a contracted service.
Huh?
It's a contracted service.
Okay.
And then with regards to 4C, I had a question. This request, zoning grant and map amendment request, is this the same property that we had questions about last year when the citizen from that community up at Monroe did not want that new development to have so many houses. Is this the same problem coming up again?
I think Carrie will answer that.
There were some concerns from the neighbors regarding stormwater. Knew if Jim might be able to address those concerns better than I can, but this would be the same property off of John Moore Road.
Council, I would note that for purposes of the public hearing, the action you're being asked to take is just placing a public hearing on the September 4 calendar. It is not about the merits of the application. That can only be dealt with when you take that action on September 4. So if anything, because they have properly met the requirements of making the application, paying the fee, going through the process, I would not recommend that the council take any action to not permit it to go on the calendar. In other words, this is one where I think you have to approve it because of the fact that they've met the steps.
Okay.
The only appropriate point in time where council can take action is after you've had the public hearing make that decision, if that's at all a concern.
Okay, but in the meantime, we would notify the property owners.
That's correct. What happens typically is once the public hearing is set, the planning department sends out the adjacent notifications to those that would be affected potentially, and they create a zone of basically not just adjacent property owners, but within a certain radius of the property, so that those individuals receive a letter that shows the agenda saying this is going to be on it, or this application will be on it.
Okay.
So they will be notified. They will definitely know.
And when I move that we accept the consent agenda.
Okay, do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Consent agenda passed. We'll go into our regular agenda. Item 19 on the regular agenda is a zoning text request. It is a public hearing.
Good evening, I'm Carrie Mendler with the Planning Department. Tonight I'm here to present a zoning text amendment request. Staff is proposing the text amendment in order to allow churches and other religious institutions in all of the sub-districts throughout the Concord Avenue Overlay District. This text amendment will not affect other zoning districts in Monroe. The Concord Avenue Overlay District was adopted on May 2nd, 2017. In the table of uses, churches and other religious uses were only allowed in Subdistrict A. At the advice of city's legal staff and outside attorneys, planning staff has been advised and agrees that the Concord Avenue Overlay District should be amended in order to allow churches and other religious institutions in all of the subdistricts. The planning board and staff recommend approval of amending section 156.124 in order to allow churches and other religious institutions in all of the subdistricts. City council will need to take action on the following items. You'll need to make a motion to adopt the resolution approving or denying the land development compliance. If the resolution of land development compliance is approved, city council will also need to make a motion to adopt the ordinance amending section 156.124. If the resolution of land development compliance is denied, city council would need to make a motion to deny the zoning text amendment. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, questions? Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. I have no one signed up. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor? Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and take action.
Motion to approve the resolution approving land development plan compliance.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Item,
Motion to approve the ordinance amending Code of Ordinances, section 156.124.
that's item C.
Second.
That's item C.
Yeah,
That's
C.
item-
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Item C. Have a motion, second, all in favor? Any opposed? That will pass. Item 20 is zoning map amendment request to rezone property at 4209 Charlotte Avenue, South Piedmont Community College. Doug?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request to rezone a property located at 4209 Old Charlotte Highway. The request is to rezone it from Conditional District South Piedmont Community College Amendment 1 to Conditional District South Piedmont Community College Amendment 2. This is an aerial map of the property. Subject properties are outlined in blue for their consideration, located along Old Charlotte Highway, Rogers Road. This is a zoning map of the area. Obviously, the subject property is outlined in blue and the maroon color. The areas the east is general industrial, as well as to the north. Across Rogers Road to the west would be R20, and then back to the south is R20 in Union County. The applicant's requested to build a 75,000 square foot, 3-story structure that's a STEM building, science, technology, and math. The first floor building will house a bookstore, business office, student activity functions, and student services. The second and third floors will include classrooms, labs, and faculty offices. This is the appearance. The predominant exterior material will be brick. They'll be required to meet the landscape requirements of the city, which is mainly just going to be installing some landscape along Rogers Road, the property frontage along Rogers Road. Parking, currently there's 701 parking spaces out there on the site. Due to addition, there will be demolishing some parking, but adding some parking. So at the end of the day, they'll have 972 parking spaces. As far as sidewalk, both planning department and engineering staff are recommending a 5-foot sidewalk be installed along Rogers Road. The applicant will also be required to adhere to any stormwater requirements as required by the engineering department. In transportation, the project is accessed, like I said, accessed off Rogers Road. They're adding a new driveway. They currently have a driveway on Rogers Road, but they'll be adding a driveway at this location. That driveway will be served by a left turn lane and also a right deceleration lane on Rogers Road to assist with any traffic mitigation based on their impact. Planning board did recommend approval of the project with the condition that the 5-foot sidewalk be installed along Rogers Road. And the council actions for the night include City Council need to make it take action on the following: motion to recommend adoption of the resolution approving or denying the land development compliance statement. If the land development compliance statement is recommended for approval, City Council also need to make the following motions: motion to adopt amended ordinance 156.98, conditional district established. And 2, motion to adopt ordinance amending section 156.106, official zoning map. If the resolution of compliance is recommended for is denied, the City Council also need to make the motion to deny the zoning map amendment. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any, and the applicant is here as well tonight too.
Council have any questions? Hearing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. At this time, I have 2 gentlemen signed up. Brian Crutchfield, would you like to speak, sir? If you will give us, yeah, I've got your address here, but for the clerk, if you'll give us your address, please.
Sure. My name is Brian Crutchfield. I'm with Timmons Group, located at 610 East Moorhead Street in Charlotte. Representing the applicant in this case, I'm the engineer working on this development. Appreciate your time and your consideration of this case. As Doug gave a good description of the project, this has been a long time coming for the community college, and we're very excited about moving forward with this project. It's been in the works for upwards of 10 years, and back 10 years ago when the economy took a little tailspin on us, we had to postpone the development of this, and through many funding mechanisms, we were able to finally move this forward. So the college is very excited to build this signature facility for their Monroe campus. As Doug said, it's a 3-story, 75,000 square foot facility to support the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics curriculum. It's going to have offices. It's going to have some multi-purpose space to benefit the students and the citizens of Union County. It's really going to be a great facility for them. They're in solid facilities now, but it's going to give them more space and allow them to add more curriculum to their already great program they have there. We do have representatives from the college here to help answer any questions you may have. We'll address one of the conditions that staff has recommended about the sidewalk along Rogers Road. We'd respectfully ask that that not be a condition of the approval at this time. Not that we're against sidewalks along roads, but we're not sure the timing of this one is very favorable, because really, if we build sidewalks along Rogers Road just along our frontage, it's not going to connect anywhere yet. There is room for future development on this site, and given that we're in a conditional district, we would have to come back to City Council if we add any new buildings on that site. At that time, if City Council felt it was appropriate to add that sidewalk as a condition, we would certainly be ready to address that at that point. Again, not that it's a bad idea, but it just doesn't serve a function at this time. We don't have it budgeted in the current project, but certainly would like to answer any questions you may have along that. We also have the architect with us as well, who will be able to answer questions about the building.
Okay.
And if sidewalks were added, that would put you over budget?
Well, we're not sure yet. We got a project that's out for bid right now. It's on the street, so in today's climate with bidding, we're a little nervous that prices could come in a little higher than budgeted. So we'd like to have that flexibility that if we do have the ability to add it in the budget, we'll certainly consider doing that. But if we come in a little over budget, we'd like to have the ability to postpone that to a future date.
Mayor, we could ask the planning staff, is in anything that you've submitted, are the sidewalks required?
No, that's why I said it was recommended by both engineering and planning staff.
Thank you.
I'd like to say one thing in regards to South Piedmont. They play a major role in our industrial recruitment. We've moved up on the list on many clients because of what they brought to the table and what they provided. So I just want to make sure you understand how valuable a player South Piedmont Community College is.
Well, I'm glad they're expanding, because it offers an opportunity for people who may not be able to afford a four-year college university. Gives them a chance at a trade, or so that's a good thing.
Yeah, what they put in this new building, science and all this, they do a great job for our community and the surrounding communities. I just want to say, I appreciate what they do, Dr. Farr and all the staff and the committees. So, absolutely. Any other questions for Brian? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Tom, I have Mr. Tom signed up to speak. In favor?
Yeah, I'm Tom Grignano with Morrisburg Architects, and appreciate the opportunity. And again, I don't have much to add over what Brian had to say. We appreciate very much the support of the council. There are already 2 existing buildings on that facility, so part of this project, it's not only future growth, but it's also going to allow the college to shift some people around and also renovate and make better use of the existing buildings on the campus as well. So we appreciate the support.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. Anyone else who'd like to speak in favor? Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and take action.
I move we approve this project excluding the sidewalks at the present time.
I second that, and just one brief comment. As a teacher with Union County Public Schools, I've had a number of students go on to South Piedmont, and I've heard nothing but great feedback from, and we're talking about going back over 12 years of students. So just a great program there. Thank you all for all you do.
Mayor, if I might, Councilmember Kazai, I know that your preference is to go ahead and approve the whole thing. Because of those changes in state law, we do have to, the first thing I would just need is that if you could move to approve the resolution approving land development compliance plan, and then we can get to the ordinance approving, and then you can make that condition on that section.
So move on all of the comments you
So
made.
just on the first one, we just have to take 2 separate actions. I apologize.
Okay. And the resolution, what do you want right out of it?
I just need sir to please move to approve the resolution approving land development plan compliance.
Okay,
And
I
I
so
won't hear
move.
you repeat all that.
I
Okay,
so move.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
And that is excluding the sidewalk.
And actually, I think you may want to do that on the ordinance itself. That may be the better place to do it. So my suggestion would be, your next motion would be moving for the approval of the ordinance approving zoning map amendment with the exclusion of requirement of sidewalks.
So move.
Second.
What you moving on, man?
You make it.
All right, have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All in favor? Aye. I didn't have to do that, Lynn. I've been there. Okay, that's approved. Thank you very much.
Rajiv, do we need item D?
You do not.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Actually, yes, you do. Item D. Yes.
So
you do.
motion to approve ordinance amending code of ordinances.
All right, you have a motion. I have a second on that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. All that is passed now. Very good. Item 21, zoning amendment request to rezone property located 501 Charles Street. This is a public hearing.
This is a request to rezone the property at 501 Charles Street. The applicant, Jason Bartell, is requesting to rezone the property from R10, single-family residential, to conditional district 501 Charles Street, 2018, in order to utilize the dwelling on the property as a duplex. Subject property is outlined in blue, located at the intersection of Charles Street and Hudson Street. The zoning property is R10 as well as the surrounding parcels are all R10 as well. It's on R10, but I do want to point out as far as across the street, it's surrounded on three sides by the Monroe Housing Authority, and then on one side, the single-family residential, as well as multifamily behind as well, but it's only single-family residential, but there's duplexes in the area. The applicant is requesting to convert the 2,100 square foot home into a duplex. The subject property is a 0.22 acre tract. The dwelling had been previously used as a duplex from at least June of 1998 to September 2012. Once the entire dwelling was vacant and utilities terminated for more than 180 consecutive days, the dwelling at that time was no longer be able to utilize as a duplex, and that was in March of 2013. Under the present zoning, the property can only be utilized for single-family purposes. If you recall, this came before council in 2016. The request was denied, and since that time, because it is separated. There's a front portion and there's a back portion, but what's happened since that time, there's somebody just been living in the front portion. And because the way we usually do that, as far as we can put notes in the system through customer service that at no point in time can both unit A and unit B be on at the same time. You can have one on, but not both of them on. This is a survey of the property. Like I said, Charles Street's here at the top. The driveway for the Charles Street side is that location. And the driveway for the Hudson Street side would be at this location. And that's kind of the dividing line between the two units. This is pictures of the property. And that's from Charles Street. And this is from Hudson Street, so you can see where the back portion, where it kind of divides off. That up there is the front unit, and this is the back unit. The subject property is located in the traditional development area of the land development plan, which does permit multifamily residential. All property owners within 150 feet were notified of the request. This item did go to the planning board at last month's meeting and was passed with a 6-3 split vote. The planning board did recommend approval of the request. And the council actions are as follows. Motion to recommend adoption, approving or denying the request for the land development compliance. Motion to adopt the ordinance amending section 156.98, conditional district established, and motion to adopt the ordinance amending section 156.16, the official zoning map. And then all that's, that was denied, the motion to deny the zoning map amendment request. And just as far as, if your questions too, as far as wanting to know what the time frame is from when one is denied, you have to wait at least 12 months. And it's been, it's been exactly 2.5 years this month since it was denied. So obviously he was well within his rights to reapply again. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any at this time as well.
Doug, if this turns into a duplex, would be 1,050 feet for each side?
Sorry?
Would it be 1,050
Oh,
feet?
okay. He could probably better tell you exactly how it's broken up on the interior. I mean, 'cause I don't think it's exactly split down the middle. I don't know the square footage of the front unit, but the applicant could probably tell you better than I can as far as but roughly speaking, when you look at kind of from the pictures, it's roughly about half and half, but that's just roughly speaking.
Would, and this is for family dwelling, I guess.
There could be one family living in the front portion if it was approved, and there could be another family living in the back portion if it was
Would
approved.
both families have a front and backyard?
Well, the front and backyard would be, the yards, this is the front portion of it facing Charles Street, so that would be, if you want to call it, that would be the front portion's front yard, and then I call it, because the way it fronts Hudson Street is kind of more like if you call it front yard, but it's kind of like a side yard, really, but this would be their front yard portion. And one thing the planning board did put a condition on there, that the applicant would be required to establish driveways. And there's some driveways established right there, but I know on this side of it here, there's gravel and there's some concrete, but what we ask them to do as far as remove that gravel portion and establish,
Is
paved
there
parking
actually
space.
room for a driveway?
There is, yes. Because this side property line from the front corner of the edge of right-of-way on Charles Street to the back, that property line is 157 feet long. So but that would be, if you want to call it their front yard, this unit 2, let me blow this over, y'all can see it. This unit 2, that would be per se their front yard area. And then, that from that is kind of like unit 1. But the one thing the planning board did add on there is a condition that both driveways be paved, as well as there be a solid opaque fence running along this side property line. Because the ordinance requires, if you're doing multifamily, whether you're doing an apartment complex or a duplex, it's required buffers between residential properties, and typically it's a 50-foot buffer, but obviously you can't achieve a 50-foot buffer in this case because, the property itself is only 61 feet wide, the whole entire property. So in lieu of that, and there's already landscaping and trees out there, and the trees out there are kind of low-growing trees, so there's not really no avenue to plant additional trees because I don't think they would survive because there's so much overgrowth, in large canopy. So the planning board did recommend that they install a fence along the side property line to create additional buffer, if the council, would decide to approve it or not. Of course, totally up to y'all's discretion. And I'll be glad to answer more questions in the outfit.
Is it a developer, local, or actually live in Monroe?
No, he doesn't live in Monroe.
He says a 63 split on the vote on the planning committee.
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Any other questions? Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing, and we have some folks signed up to speak. I'll take them as in order as they signed up. The first one being Robert.
Hey, good evening, folks. I was here back in 2016 for the exact same reason. Monroe is suffering from low-quality rental property. We just approved some great things with South Piedmont. The west side's get some good things. The east side does suffer from some issues. And like I said, I'm not against rental property, but I'm against low-quality rental property. I went by there today, and one of the biggest things that we talked about last time is parking. There's really no parking on that corner. That's why it reverted back to a thing. And you see the city has lost their rezoning sign because there's no room to park, and apparently a car has hit that. This is what we normally see on a day-to-day basis, because since there's no parking, they park in the yard.
Can you blow that up?
Now, let's see if I can blow it up some.
If it will.
They're gonna try that. So there's really no parking for the single family. And if we double it, there's actually gonna be even less. You see the cars always parked in the front yard, so there's no chance for grass or anything to grow. Like I said, we brought up whether this gentleman lives in Monroe. There's a big difference if you live in town and you live somewhere else when you own property. There are 11 properties that he owns in Monroe, and to be honest, this is another picture of the property that's on an average basis right there. This is another property that's in Monroe that he owns, according to the GIS system in the county. So. Okay, well, that's, you need to change it on the GIS. So that's.
GIS is totally wrong.
Well, that's the problem with the county then, so we need to work on that. Like I said, and the last time we were here, he said he was a hands-on landlord. If you look at the pictures, nothing's been done to it in 2 years. So I would say that's definitely not a hands-on landlord. I'd say the property would fall to another victim of out-of-state, out-of-county property owner that has no investment in the city and what we're trying to do. So if you've been through the historic district, there's been a couple guys that are doing some great work on the houses downtown and restoring them. And I think it'd be kind of be a slap in the face for us to approve some more on property that we don't want. So, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Jason is the second one signed to talk. I recognize you, Jason.
Yes, sir.
Name and address, please, for the clerk.
My name's Jason Bartell. I live at 917 North Central Avenue, Locust, North Carolina. I graduated Parkwood High School. I actually graduated from South Piedmont Community College here at the old Belt building when it was here. So I've got a Monroe Aquatic Center membership card. I work out here. I do have rental property here. Speaking of the GIS and not being correctly, I took the map and kind of like updated it for you guys. Here's my property. And then all this in yellow is either multifamily or parking lot. Over here is the, I believe this is the gym where they play basketball and things of that nature. These two homeowners here, I have letters stating that they would like to see this property fixed up, because it's boarded up now and it'll continue to stay boarded up. It's easier to maintain it boarded up than it is to open it up. I'm willing to do whatever need be. We can come up to a concessions of, putting the fence up. I'll even put a fence in the back. This right here, we can clean off more space if y'all feel like I need to have extra parking instead of the two here and the two there. Do y'all have copies of those letters?
I
They're in
don't.
the
I don't
packet.
either.
They're in the pack, yes.
Did y'all read them? There's one from the housing authority right there. And the front part is rented through the housing authority. It's a Section 8 renter in there. And it meets all the codes. They're very strict on letting people that get in there. So they're on a voucher program. That's one letter that I have there. Here's one of the neighbors that I identified.
What is the name on that? Is that Craig?
Yes, ma'am, James Craig Melvin. Oh, I'm sorry.
Did James Craig actually type that letter and send it to you?
No, ma'am. I typed the letter for him, and he signed it. Here's also a neighbor, lives right beside the property.
Did you dictate what was in the letter?
No, ma'am. He told me what to say.
I know Mr. Craig.
He said he's lived there 51 years. 51 years. I mean, I wouldn't stand up here if it didn't make sense. It's surrounded by multifamily.
That multifamily is housing authority.
That's
Let me
correct.
ask you,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
work have you done on the property in the last, since you were here last? I recall when you were here before.
Yes, ma'am.
What have you done?
I cleaned it up and rented it out.
But what work have you done other than cleaning
It didn't need much work. And then on the
What have
inside,
you done? I'm just asking, what have you done?
painted it, sheetrock repair, had a licensed electrician come in there, inspect everything, because you have to have that if the power's been off more than 6 months, I believe. And the other side just needs a little bit of paint and sheetrock.
But
And
you
I-
haven't done that.
No, ma'am, I won't do it to the other side unless it passes. I'm gonna keep it boarded up. I can't rent it out to get any more revenue.
The part that you rented to the housing authority under Section 8.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you do what was required of you in order for it to meet the Section 8 criteria? Or did you do what you felt like it needed to be done so it'd be a livable habitat for someone?
I had to do what was required of Section 8 because they wouldn't
Did you do any more than that?
Yes, ma'am, I sure did.
What?
I refinished the floors. I
Those
installed,
hardwood floors?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But I'm willing to do, if you want to put all new vinyl siding on it, if you guys out here want to see something else done to it, we can write it up. The attorney,
So what is the living area on that second side,
two bedroom, one bath.
the square footage?
I believe it's about 900, and the other side's about 1,100. Front side's 1,100, and back side's 900.
And so
I
it would
didn't
be
measure.
suitable for a family of what?
I would say a family of a husband and wife and maybe one child.
So it's one bed, two bedrooms?
2 bedroom, yes, ma'am.
And what else?
And 1 bath and 1 kitchen.
No living room?
There's a small living room, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Jason?
Charles, what are your plans for landscaping? Because I rode by there the other day, and it seems to be, there's an opportunity there to make it look a whole lot better.
Oh, yes, sir. And we can come up with something with the planning and zoning department or building department, spruce it up however y'all want to.
Have you done some landscaping for the one that's rented through Section 8?
Ma'am?
Did you do any landscaping for the one that's rented through Section 8?
Yeah, we did some landscaping pine straws out front, yes, ma'am. And
Then I'm asking, what did you do?
for landscaping,
Yeah.
put some pine straw out and put a few flowers. We met all the requirements, so they wouldn't send me a check every month.
So they would send you a check?
They would not. They will not. If I don't meet the requirements, they will not pay me. So I just want to get the backside rented out, unboarded up, make it look really nice. And the whole area there, I mean, everything in yellow.
It's public housing.
Public housing or apartments or the gym, or this is like a parking lot for some school buses right here. It's not single.
Parking lot is for the church
It's,
buses.
it's not single family. This single family here, which is in the historical district, I believe, doesn't have any driveway access. And mine is not in the historical district whatsoever, is it, sir? No. So has no driveway access. There's not that many homes in there.
My only concern was, I don't believe in warehousing people, and I'm not saying that that's what you would be doing, but I look at that small section for a family, how livable it is, especially as a child. Do they have room to play, to grow? I'm not trying to keep anyone from making money or anything, but I look at the viability of it.
Well, the good thing about it is it is in the city, and there is a gym here very close to play basketball and,
But if it's
walk.
a small child, it's a minor child, somebody is a kindergarten or pre-kindergarten, they wouldn't be using that gym.
Take walks around the block, things of that
They
nature.
can walk around the block.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you, Jason.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. King, we recognize you at this time.
Evening, Mayor, Council, and Clerk. I want to read the vision statement of Monroe. Monroe is a vibrant and progressive community in which its citizens are provided with quality residential and job opportunities and recreational and cultural amenities. The current status of the property at 501 Charles Street does not fit within the vision of Monroe. Rezoning, it will not fit within the vision of Monroe. This property has significant substandard conditions. I feel health and safety issues, i.e. plywood in the window. Features such as this do not attract progressive or engaged residents. Quite the contrary. From these types of properties, you can expect a higher number of calls for police services. The citizens of Monroe do not deserve these properties. It is not fair for those families or for those property owners who are making efforts to better Monroe and this community. It's an undue burden on our code enforcement. There is no evidence in the last 2 years that would support or suggest the promises that Mr. Bartell is going to create a property that contributes to a vibrant and progressive community in which its citizens are provided quality residential amenities. In your defense, Mr. Bartell, you are not alone. There are many other properties in the surrounding area that fall into the category of unfit. But for purposes of tonight, what's on the agenda, we're talking about the 501 property, Charles Street property. I respectfully ask this council to render a verdict of no to rezoning this property. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is anyone else here who would like to speak in favor? Is anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and take action.
I make a motion that we deny the request to amend the code of ordinances.
Ma'am, if you are going to deny it, I'm going to have to ask you to, the first thing would be a resolution denying land development plan compliance. And then the second thing will then be a motion to deny it.
Well, what did you say now?
That to move to approve the resolution denying land development
Okay,
plan
I move
compliance.
to approve the resolution denying the request of amending the code of ordinances, is that correct?
No, ma'am, it
We'll
would
do
be.
it one at a time.
It just would
One
do it
at a
one time.
time.
It would be
Well, the first one is,
to move approve resolution denying land development plan compliance.
so moved.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, okay. Get ready for the second one.
And then, ma'am, it would be, then you'd move to deny the zoning map.
I move to deny the zoning request.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, okay, that is denied. Okay, we're ready for 22.
Yes, sir.
Item 22, acquiring a real property containing approximately 155 acres located along Sutherland Avenue, Sutherland Avenue, public hearing. Excuse me.
Mayor, excuse me, Mayor, Council, Manager Faison, it's my pleasure to bring before you tonight the opportunity to purchase land for economic development purpose to build Industrial Park Number 3. Give a little history. The City of Monroe has developed 2 industrial parks, the Monroe Corporate Center and the Arrow Point Industrial Center. These parks have lured 12 companies, generating $750 million in capital investment and the generation of nearly 2,000 jobs since their inception in 1995. The parks have become very developed, and with only about 100 acres remaining spread between about 8 parcels, and several of those parcels are being targeted right now by active prospects. Given that we're running out of land, and so to lure new opportunities for our town. Given the success of our 2 parks and this limited available remaining land, it is reasonable to seek out land for a new park.
As we've discussed previously in closed session, the city has targeted this parcel, which is, as stated, approximately 155 acres, 155.905 acres off of Sutherland Avenue, co-owned by the Billy Place LLC and the Yard Family LLC. The family members have agreed to the purchase price of roughly $30,000 per acre for the total purchase price of $4,677,150. Funding for this project is solely from the Water Resources Fund balance, and the land also allows us to now take advantage of the soon-to-be-open Monroe Expressway and then spread our development throughout the city and other parts and provide opportunities for all of our citizens. This primarily Monroe has targeted precision manufacturing in its recruitment strategy, which has served us very well, primarily because the road systems here did not support some of the other uses that we just would not be as competitive in seeking those. Now that we have the expressway open to us, hopefully in November, that will open up opportunities for us to serve another segment of our population with a different skill set that can possibly work in the logistics field, as well as this is now can take advantage of that roadway. So we wanted to bring this for you tonight to look at that. That would include the passing of the resolution to purchase, adopt a capital budget ordinance to bring from the Water Resource Fund balance $4,677,150, and to authorize the city manager to sign all documents related to and associated with this purchase. Any questions?
Council have any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Have a motion?
No, sir. You need to have anyone to speak for or against.
That's right, we're in a public hearing, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
Your pardon. Okay, is anyone here who would like to speak in favor? There's so many public hearings, none of them got lost. Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing.
Motion to approve the resolution approving acquisition of real property.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay, Mayor.
One opposed, okay? The next one is item C.
Motion to approve the purchase sale agreement with the Yard Family LLC and Billy Place LLC.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay, Mayor.
Okay, did you get that, Madam Clerk? All opposed, was that one? I heard one, is that correct? Okay. Item D. Got motion on D?
Motion to approve capital project budget ordinance.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay, Mayor.
One more. Okay. Thank you very much, that's approved. They smile at it. Okay. Item 23, solid waste violation report in order for you.
Good evening, Lisa Stywinter, Director of Planning and Development with the City of Monroe. This is a request to consider a report on the number of bulky waste fines issued, the amount of fines that have been paid and unpaid, and an overview of the city's solid waste ordinance regarding bulky waste. Mayor Pro Tem Gary Anderson requested staff present a report on the number of bulky waste fines issued, the number of fines that have been paid and unpaid, and then to go over the ordinance that was amended in, I think, 2015. Staff did generate a report from August 1st, 2017 to July 31st, 2018 that consisted of the number of bulky waste fines issued and how many paid and unpaid within the year time frame. The report did display that there were 60 fines that were issued. It did say that we issued amount of $3,050 in fines. 1,300 has been paid and 1,350 was unpaid. 400 of the fines were written off due to various different reasons. But in June 2015, the solid waste ordinance was amended to establish provisions in the ordinance regarding violations and enforcement actions. One of those items was related to bulky waste, and just want to briefly go over the main sections of that ordinance with you guys. Residents may place discarded furniture, junk, appliances, and similar items on the front corner of their premises nearest to the public street or alley for collection. This service is provided to city residents. And just to kind of go over what bulky waste kind of includes, large household furniture, appliances like refrigerators, wash machines, dishwashers, and that type of thing. Commercial businesses are required to make private arrangements to dispose of their bulky waste or yard waste. The city does not collect bulky waste or yard waste from commercial businesses. Bulky items must not be commingled with solid waste, garbage, or yard waste. Items from business establishments operated from a residential unit are not collected by the city's solid waste provider, which is Waste Pro at the time. Any bulky item or junk that pertains to any legal eviction or is the result of any other legal proceedings will not be collected by the city's solid waste provider. The city will not be responsible for the removal of automobile parts, including but not limited to tires and batteries. The proper disposal of these will be the responsibility of the property owner. Just have a couple more, so bear with me. No materials such as, can't see it. No materials such as trees, shrubbery, or underbrush resulting from land clearing will be picked up by the city or its contractor as a bulky waste item. Bulky waste materials shall not be placed at the curb no earlier than 5 p.m. the day before the scheduled collection date and shall be removed by midnight on the collection day if not collected for some reason. A civil penalty in the amount of $50 may be issued to any person that's in violation of this section of the ordinance. I'll be happy to answer any questions or.
Back when you talk about the clearing of underbrush or trees or whatever, would you read that again or state that again for me, please? That's not,
Sorry. No materials such as trees, shrubbery, or underbrush resulting from land clearing will be picked up by the city or its contractor. We pick up yard waste, but we don't pick up large trees, shrubbery, or underbrush, especially if it's commingled with your bulky waste.
yeah, well, I know that we don't pick up the trees, et cetera, but people cut limbs, shrubbery, or whatever, we do pick that up.
Yes, we pick those up as a yard waste collection in a manageable pile where it's cut, is it 4 feet in length, 6 inches in diameter, but not commingled with your bulky furniture or household.
If you trim a tree back, cut some limbs off, do you pick those up?
Mm-hmm.
Does that?
If they meet the yard waste collection.
I don't understand what it's.
We get a lot of putting anything and everything out at the curb and mixing it all together.
Yeah, I know what commingling, I know all that. What you're saying is we don't pick up this, but I say, well, we cut limbs off of trees, put them out. You say, yes, we pick that up. But I thought you just said.
Has to meet a certain criteria.
I'm sorry?
That provision basically protects the town from say a subdivision developer who comes in and does land.
Contractor, I know we don't pick up contractors.
That's basically what that's getting at.
Right.
Mayor, how about this? If you don't like a tree that's ticking you off in the front yard of your house, you can't knock it down and just somehow drag
it at the curb.
But you could drag 4-foot limbs from that if you want.
Okay, well, I understand.
If yard waste includes leaves, does it include leaves?
If they're bagged in clear bags.
But they must be bagged.
For the solid waste provider to pick it up. Now, the city provides its own leaf collection through certain months of the year.
I have a question, and I don't remember which number it was. It said that businesses that are conducted at a house, they do not pick up that waste. Perhaps it should include illegal businesses as well. Most people who sell alcoholic beverages from their home will probably have a lot of beer cans or liquor bottles in the trash can. It might need to be more clean.
Okay.
Now, if you will, go back to our collection again. You did this from August to July, from 17 to 18, is that what I understood?
August 1st, 2017 to July 31st, 2018.
Total amount of citation we issued was 3,000 and what?
We had 60 issued, $3,050. 1,300 was collected, roughly the same amount was uncollected, and then 400 written off.
Well,
What happens, what happens for people who don't pay?
coming to that.
The city has met, where planning staff and engineering has met with the finance department and legal staff to discuss different collection measures to start moving forward in collecting, trying to collect more of these fines.
Are there any way we could, Mr. Attorney, attach it to something for some time they'll have to pay? You know, if we're not gonna put any teeth in it, we don't use to have it.
The answer is typically what we do is we've been working with the finance department on ways to ensure that we're collecting them in terms of even potentially hiring folks that would handle that. That's something that other cities do. One thing we do is that we send these things, once you get about $50, it can go to the debt set-off program. So if you get an income tax refund from the state, it becomes a nice source of funding for us. We're participants in the debt set-off program. So that's something else we do. So we are, I'll defer to the finance director, but we are working with them in terms of coming up with options and ideas for how we can also do additional collections, because they may be smaller dollars, but there are groups and businesses that will do that for a small portion of whatever is collected. But that's something we're looking at as well.
When we're exploring those different avenues, I don't think we should do anything that's gonna cost the city more money to collect it.
Well, I think what you're saying is that it doesn't cost more money, is that a lot of times if you use some of these firms, they'll take a small portion from that, so what's collected, so that it's not that you're paying them $100 to collect 50, it's more like they're getting $10 of the 50 or something to that effect.
In the finance department does currently work with online information services to do the credit checks for their new utility accounts. So they did explore or ask questions regarding offer for collections if they were to provide that. And they did say basically they would only charge if they collect, and then it would be a 35% of the collection. Amounts may be submitted to debt set off, and they would provide the reports to the credit bureau.
Is there not an option to add that line as a component to the utility bill?
No, in some cases, no. We've actually discussed that internally, is that because a lot of times that the property owner is the one who's responsible for those civil penalties. They're not often, in a lot of cases, the ones actually getting the electric service. So you don't tag the wrong people. It's because the way our code is written, just like every other city in the state of North Carolina, is we look at the property owner as the responsible party for those, as opposed to saying, you just happen to maybe rent this house or rent this apartment, but you don't own it. We're going to suddenly say that you're responsible for putting on your electric bill. We are unfortunately not able to do that. But we are looking at, and I'll again defer to the finance director on, ways to ensure that we work on collections. And one thing to point out is in some cases, we've actually succeeded fairly well in some of our collections efforts, because I think with some of our fines and fees that we've actually collected, when we heard the number, it was more than we anticipated. Sometimes these civil penalties are a little harder, and we can work on ways to do that. And we are working with finance on that.
But the main thing is, Lisa, your group is making a big difference in educating our citizens about what they can and can't do with bulk waste. Even if we send out a warning, if we send out a fine and maybe we didn't collect it, but I bet you they won't do it a second time. So we're making a big difference. I know I call in bulk waste a couple times a week, and I know y'all probably get sick of it, but you do a great job of getting it cleaned up. Because the bottom line is, we want Monroe to be a nice-looking city. And when there's two mattresses sitting out beside the Rite Aid, or last weekend when I rode through the historic district and saw where there was a refrigerator and washer and dryer put out on a Saturday afternoon, and 2 houses down, there was a toilet seat and 4 mattresses put out on a Saturday afternoon, we're not going to tolerate that. I mean, we just cannot tolerate it. The main thing for people to understand is that you can put it out on your designated trash pickup day. But we can't have people putting it out on a Saturday, and then lots of people have company on the weekends. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't put up with it if my neighbor put out their commode on the side of the road on a Saturday afternoon, and I'm having people over for Sunday dinner, and they come over and say, Gary, who in the world you got living next to you? You know, we have to have a clean city, and you are doing a good job educating people. You're making a difference, and keep doing it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I know every time I've called something in, y'all gotten it cleaned up the next day, and I appreciate it. I say thank you, and the program is working because we're educating more people on what they can and can't do with their trash.
Gary,
Well, thank you.
you could go put a shrub in that commode next to your house.
Well, I actually had the commode sent to Dove Street, but
Well, is it possible to, since a lot of these are rentals, to send the property owners saying you may be renting this home, please advise your tenants these days, and that fines will be forthcoming, that, you know, it's a new day, there's a new sheriff in town. We're not putting up with it.
When we revised the ordinance in 2015, we did that. We actually even made the ordinance effective a month later for education purposes. We did warnings, we did utility bill mail outs, we did various different educations. Now, is it an ongoing education effort that needs to take place? Of course it is. So we try to educate as much as we can, but we certainly always do more.
Have we ever done the magnets?
We've done the magnets for recycling. We've done the magnets for code enforcement, but not necessarily a particular bulky waste.
That might be an idea.
Door knockers? Door knockers?
Yeah, we have warnings that we do
Okay.
all the time.
Is this on the website?
I'm not sure. I know all of our ordinances on the website and what we pick up and don't pick up, and
Yeah.
but as far as like the warning of the fines, I'm not sure. I'll have to double check that.
Okay.
Like Lisa mentioned, the collection agency is a viable option that finance can enter into if council so desires. They do just charge that 35% if they collect it. So at least we'd get something rather than nothing. We can use them at the same time as using debt set-off, so we can make a double effort. When they do their collections, it does not get reported to the credit bureaus, so it doesn't go against somebody's credit, but they could, you know, pursue collections a little bit harder from these folks. If council desires, I can move in that
Mayor, I
direction.
move we use the collection agency. That'll put more heat on the people that value.
Yeah, I think so. You know, some is better than none, but it's not the money that I'm after or the city's after.
It'll embarrass them anyway.
It's the message we're trying to send to the people to put it out on the day that they're supposed to be collected on. It's not about the money. It's about try to get the people to understand, I can't put it out today, I can put it out tomorrow when my collection day, on my collection day. And I agree, yeah, you know, if they collect some, at least they send in a message.
at least we put some teeth into it.
They put
I
And
second it.
I second, yeah, we got a second, and I agree, you know, we gotta put some teeth into it, and we gotta let people know that it's not acceptable, and that, we're gonna keep on.
Well, it's a
Councilmember
message.
Kazai, can I ask that you
Yes, sir.
perhaps amend it to say to allow the finance director to solicit proposals, and then consistent with the ability of the director or the manager to enter into a contract to authorize them to do that?
Sure.
That way it doesn't have to come back to y'all.
You got that, Lisa?
Yes, thank you.
And does the seconder agree with
Second.
that? Change the motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed?
Lisa,
Thank
before you leave, Lisa,
Lisa?
I'm sorry, Simon. When is the Waste Pros contract in?
September 2019, so we have to start discussions soon.
I've been getting a lot of complaints on Waste Pro.
Okay.
Same kind of complaints we were getting with our previous
We
solid waste contractor.
Okay.
And when Red was there, and I got those kind of complaints, I just pick up the phone and call them, and it's taken care of. I don't know if they've got anybody like that up there now or not. I bet if they do, it's not somebody that attends our meetings like Red used to attend our meetings.
I see they have a lot of new drivers too.
And that's one of the complaints I'm getting from the attitude of the drivers that they have.
Well, our contract with Waste Pro, our solid waste provider, is up September 2019. So typically you would start a year in advance of discussing. So any feedback, whether positive, negative, regarding the company, staffs greatly appreciate that.
They really do. So
We still have that committee?
Ms. Anthony's committee would be handling that. But they really have fallen a long way from where they started.
Okay.
I sure agree with that.
A lot of things they did.
Contact.
A lot of things they didn't do that they said they was gonna do too. When I say a lot, maybe not a lot, but some things. So, but anyhow, we'll be looking at that.
Okay. And
That's
I'd
2 men in a
certainly
truck
like
doing
to hear additional comments.
That's 2 men in a truck doing
Good.
good.
Yeah, we're doing good.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Okay, we're down to 24. Item 24, public comment periods. Anyone here who would like to address the council under public comment period?
You got a young scout you might want to recognize in the back.
Go right ahead.
Come on up, son. Tell us what your name is, what badge you're trying to get.
Come up to the podium, sir.
Come on down. We'll give you a center
I
floor.
didn't know what you said. Give us your name, sir.
I'm Parker Shaw.
Okay, very good. You look very nice in your uniform. How long you been in the Scouts?
Ever since I've been 8.
Okay. You working towards that Eagle Scout?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's really good. That's good. Is your friend there with you? Is he a Scout?
Yes.
Well, you come on too, sir. We're not gonna let you go. How long you been in the Scouts?
I've been in scouting ever since I've been 8 also.
That's wonderful. You working towards that Eagle?
Yes, I'm getting close.
Let me encourage you to do that. That's a great accomplishment. As you know, council, y'all have anything you want to?
Just interested in knowing what troop they're with and where you're from, where your troop is located.
Our troop is Troop 406, and we are located from the Waxhaw Ward. From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Okay.
Where you school?
I go to school at Cuthbertson.
When you get that Eagle Scout, we want you to come back, okay?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Wish you the best of luck. I know you're gonna do great. Now, we'll give you an opportunity to speak for about 15 minutes if you'd like. Want to do that? Well, let me say thank you for coming, and we wish you the best in your endeavors and moving on up to the Eagle Scout. And like Mr. Kazar said earlier, come back anytime, but we definitely want to see you when you make that Eagle Scout.
Thank you.
Anything we can ever do for the city for you guys, let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate you. Okay, hearing nothing on the public comment period, this time we're gonna go to closed session. Do I have a motion? Gotta read that.
I
Somebody.
move to go into closed session pursuant to the NCGS sections 143-318.11A1 and A3 to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to the law of this state or of the United States, or not considered a public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statutes, to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the city's attorneys and the city council, and to consider and give instruction to the city's attorney concerning the handling or settlement of claims. Need a second.
I have a motion to a second.
Second.
All in favor of going in closed session? Aye, we're going in closed session. Thank you, folks, for coming tonight. Hope you have a good day tomorrow.
Bye.